All right, here we go. Cups up. Shake, rattle, and hum. Toast to the Morning Word crowd. Pastor Andy here. Glad you guys are with us. The morning word this morning is it's our turn. We'll get to that in just a moment. We'll be coming out of John, the 18th chapter. And I want to thank everyone for being with us. Manaj over in India. And thank you guys for being here, tuning in. All we ask is that you share. We're only about 2 weeks away from school starting back. It's crazy the world we live in, isn't it? Been going back to school like August the 7th. That's 2 days after my birthday. Man, we didn't go back to school till the 1st of September. And I don't understand who is exercising their ingenuity and putting students back in classrooms in August in Alabama, but they lost their mind. It takes more air conditioning. It takes more power to heat and cool that place during the month of August than it would be to run the heater in January and February. People are crazy. Anyway, that's beside the point. We'll get on that another day. I want to give a cups up to our school teachers. That's where I was going with that. To our school teachers. Y'all fixing to get you some more of it. And it looks like you're going to be in a mask too, so you don't have to do your hair, put on your makeup. Just put your ball cap on and go do your job. But thank you for taking care of our kids. And thank you to all of our first responders, the firefighters, the police officers, and the military personnel. Do a tremendous job. We can't thank you enough. If you have your word now, we're going to John chapter 18. Jesus is in the Garden of Gethsemane with his disciples. And this is the moment when Judas comes with an entourage from the Sanhedrin to arrest Jesus. It's kind of funny, but it's not funny. Let's read it. When Jesus had spoken these words, chapter 18 of John, verse 1. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went out with his disciples over the brook Kidron, where there was a garden, which he and his disciples entered. And Judas, who betrayed him, also knew the place, for Jesus often met there with his disciples. Then Judas, having received a detachment of troops and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, came there with lanterns, torches, and weapons. Now, I got to stop right there. Because Judas has been with him for 3.5 years and saw the man walk on water and raise the dead, and it says they brought weapons. I'm going, my Lord. Basically, what they should have done was walked up there and said, hey, would you go with us so we can go kill you, because the only way you're going to go with us is if you do it of your own free will. I think in those terms when I'm reading. I actually wrote, laugh out loud in my Bible, weapons. Yep, now you're going with us, Jesus. I got a stick. God. Anyway, verse 4. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, whom are you seeking? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus said to them, I am he. And Judas, who betrayed him, also stood with them. Now when he said to them, I am he, they drew back and fell to the ground. See, that's just a word. When he said, I am, they hit the ground. Then he asked them again, whom are you seeking? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. Therefore, if you seek me, let these go their way, that the saying might be fulfilled which he spoke, of those whom you gave me, I have lost none. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear. The servant's name was Malchus. So Jesus said to Peter, put your sword into the sheath. Shall I not drink the cup which my Father has given me? Now I want to go back up to verse 4. Judas has walked up with the entourage, the detachment of troops, and here's what it says. Jesus, therefore, knowing all things that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, whom are you seeking? Jesus went forward. You see, guys, the reason Jesus went forward there is because it was his time to go to the cross. It was his time to bear the sins of the world. It was his time to suffer in our place. It was his time. And he did that to protect the disciples that were with him at that time. You see, they were going to scatter in just a minute under the threat of persecution. And they would be scattered until the Holy Spirit came upon them and gathered them all back to Jesus. But my point is, is that they were not ready yet to assume a leadership position. They were followers of Christ, but they were not ready yet. They were still immature. Now, guys, that's where this is where the morning word comes into place. The morning word says it's our turn. All right, and the world has come with its weapons, its lanterns, its torches, and they're seeking out. They are seeking out Christians to bring to bring persecution upon them. They're seeking them out. Now, you say, how are they actively seeking them out here in the United States? Well, they're seeking us out not by name, but by principle. In other words, and I've told you this, and you don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. But again, I told you to go to the Voddie Baucham videos and go to the other sit down. Other videos. Got a disciplined dog every now and then. And our country is moving towards socialism, all right? Where the bourgeois, the upper crust, do anything and everything to stay in power. And the proletariat, that's the lower caste, they just do everything to stay alive. All right, the bourgeois do anything to stay in power, and the proletariat do anything to stay alive. And in the books that they are teaching our Christian teachers, our school teachers with, they have a book. Voddie Baucham in his video will read it to you, that Christianity is considered to be a form of imperialism, okay, and oppression by socialism. So what I'm telling you is that the socialist laws that are being initiated and implemented in this country have as its target at the root the Christian faith. Just telling you. And it's coming to pass. It's being utilized during this pandemic. When they use the pandemic to convince you that you should give up your rights, let me tell you something. When you give up your rights, they don't just fall to the ground. Somebody else picks them up. That's the people at the top. All right, they'll do anything to stay in power. Pretty soon you'll do anything to stay alive. And so my point is, okay, in this day and time in the United States of America, Minaj, I can't speak for you, but I'm sure it's probably been like this from the beginning, since you live in a nation that's dominated by different faiths that are violent against Christianity, is that Christians and what they stand for and who they stand for, who they stand with, are public enemy number one, who we know the prince of darkness, Satan, is the one, he has us targeted, all right? So my point is that Jesus went forward to protect those that were behind him, and because he knew it was his time, all right? So he was going to the cross. Now it's our turn. You see, it's our turn to step forward. There's young people behind us. There's young Christians that are not mature yet in the faith. There are children that are coming up behind us, our children that we're raising in our families. And now it's time for us to step forward, not with the sword that Peter had, but with the sword of the Spirit. The Bible tells us that when Jesus turned, and he told Peter, put the sword up. Say, we don't fight like this, all right? The weapons, 2 Corinthians 10:3-6 says, for we do not war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but are mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds and bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. We fight with the truth. When Jesus was being interrogated at the end of this chapter, and he said, I've come to bear witness of the truth. And Pilate said, what is truth? He said, what is truth? And of course, Jesus didn't answer him there, but what Jesus had already answered that in the scriptures. He said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And then he said, ask the Father to sanctify us, the believers, the church, by his truth. His word is truth. So it's Christ and the word. And so that's what we bring to bear in this onslaught of socialism. We bring Jesus and his word. And that's what we must stand with, and that's what we must stand for. And it's my turn. See, it's Richard Brown's turn. It's Gail Dogan's turn. It's Minaj's turn. It's our turn to step up. See, Jesus said he knew that all things that would come upon him. Now, Jesus has already told us in the last days what's going to come upon us. All right? And here's what Jesus said. They're going to betray you. So we already know that there's going to be betrayal within the body of Christ. Here's Judas right here leading an entourage. Judas was with these guys for 3.5 years. He slept with them, ate with them, and managed the money box. Yeah, he took his fair share out of it too. But what I'm saying is he was counted as one of them. And when he defected, I'm sure that was a shock to everyone. So Jesus was betrayed by his closest friend. And we're going to be betrayed by close friends. We're going to be betrayed by family. We're going to be betrayed by our churches. You say, Pastor Randy, I just can't go back to church. I got my feelings hurt. Well, all I can tell you is, honey, that it should not come as any surprise. God has told us that he came to bring a sword into the world, that he came to set a mother against her daughter and a father against his son, and so forth and so on. What does he mean? That he came to set us at odds with one another? Yes. And why would we be at odds with one another? Truth. Truth is on the right. Lies are on the left. And we have to stand in the truth, for the truth, and with the truth. Jesus Christ and his word. And it's our turn. Guys, listen. It's our turn. It's our turn. Jesus has took his turn. He went to the cross. He was the spearhead. He's the head. He was the preeminent one. He was the firstborn among many brethren. He's gone first. He was the tip of the spear. Now it's our turn to stand up. Not with swords, not threatening people, not, burning their houses down like they want to burn ours down, not burning their churches down like they want to burn ours down, but it's our turn. I told our church last night, during the pandemic up there in Canada, pastors were told to shut their churches down. And they said, well, we're not going to shut our churches down. Now, mind you, they don't have the kind of freedoms that in Canada that we have, or had. We're losing them. And so they said, no, we're not going to close the church. Well, they came and told them to close the church. No, we're not going to close it. Then they came back with a subpoena, a warrant. No, we're not going to close the church. Then they came back and arrested the pastor. You can look all this up. They arrested him. Well, that wasn't enough. Now the people of Canada are getting frustrated and irritated with the church. And so they're having a sweep across their nation. People burning the churches to the ground. In Canada. People burning the churches to the ground. And when we tell them that we're not going to shut down during the pandemic ever again, we may have to meet on the riverside. We may have to meet at the park. We may have to meet out Lake Lurleen or Camp Tuscola. We may have to meet out in the parking lot to kind of create a little space for people to be able to meet. But we're going to meet. That's what Jesus told us in his word. That's the truth. That we should not forsake the assembling together of ourselves. He didn't say, your opt-out is if the CDC says you need to. He didn't give us that caveat. Or if Fauci says you need to. He didn't give us that caveat either. Or if the president says you should. He didn't give us that caveat. He said, you continue to meet. What would the church be doing right now in China? The true living church of Jesus Christ. What would it be doing in China right now if they obeyed their government that says you can't meet, it's outlawed, it's illegal, and don't ever get together again? Well, there'd be no church. So basically what they do say is, go on, say what you're going to say, and then we're going to go meet somewhere where you can't see us. They went underground. They meet in houses. They meet at 3 o'clock in the morning. Everybody brings a portion of the Bible, so if anybody gets caught going to church or leaving church and gets captured, they don't lose the whole volume of the Bible. And they learn the Bible. And they sit in houses for 2 hours, sing Kumbaya with no music, and read the Word of God. And the Church of God is thriving in China, under the threat of personal persecution and prosecution and even death. And so my point is that we're at a time now in our country. Minaj is at a time in his country in India. We are at a time when they have come, and they have come to where we are. That's where it said they came to where Jesus often met. Judas said, let me show you where they meeting. They come to where they often met, and they came in the dark of night with their swords and their clubs. It reminds us bunch of mess that used to go on here around here back in the 50s and 60s, doesn't it? They came with their torches and their clubs and their lanterns, and they said, "We're looking for a man named Jesus." And it said, then Jesus went forward. Jesus went forward to protect those that were behind him, because it wasn't their time yet. Well, now it's our time. It's our turn. It's our turn to go forward. And guys, we got to stand for truth, come hell or high water, no matter what happens. And that's just how it is. You're gonna have to decide who you're for, who you with, what you're gonna stand for. It's time to put up or shut up. It's time to walk it out or walk it home. And it's knocking on our door right now again. And I'm telling you, if they have their way, they're gonna shut it down again. If they have their way, they're gonna shut it down again. I'm telling you. Now you ask yourself this question. I'm just gonna leave you with this. You have your government that wants to put a mask on your face, shut everything down, and go home for your protection. That's what they say, for your protection. We've got to do this to get it under control. And they let 1 million illegal immigrants come across that border down there. They don't know their name. They don't have an immunization record, because in their countries they're not immunized. They're coming across there, sex trafficking, drug trafficking. These countries are emptying their jails and their prisons and sending them to the border. They're coming across the border. They're walking them onto a bus and they're driving them into your communities, and they're going to go to your school next week. They're going to take your welfare dollars and they're going to come to your school. Now, let me tell you, I understand why they're leaving, and I have compassion and mercy on them, but I do believe that there's a right way to do things, and this is not right. 1 million people in the month of July have come across it, month of June have come across that border illegally. That's the ones that we caught. Now that government that's allowing that to happen on purpose is telling you to go home for your safety. Something about that little story ain't right. You understand what I'm saying? Nevertheless, it's our turn. Put up or shut up. The Lord is with us, and he's going to win. Hope you guys have a great day. We'll see y'all tomorrow, good Lord willing, and the saints don't rise.